What's going on, dudes? It is David here. We're back with another video. And now, in this video, guys, we shall be continuing on with the characters from certain specific animes that I feel like deserve more love and deserve more attention. Now, the video I recently did was talking about Neji Hyuga. So, if you guys haven't checked that out, make sure it'll be linked down in the comments down below or link in the description down below. But what we're going to be talking about today is going to be a different style anime. It's going to be a romance anime. It's going to be one of my favorite romance animes, and we're going to be talking about the Quintessential Quintuplets. Now, when it comes to the Quintessential Quintuplets, we're going to be talking about not my favorite Miku, not Nino, not Yotsuba the winner, and not Ichiko. We're going to be talking about what I believe is possibly one of the most realistic ones that could have been there had they chosen it, and that is the youngest one, Itsuki. Now, you guys are probably wondering, like, how is Itsuki a really good option? Well, let's not forget, if we're discounting the fact that he met Yotsuba first, the first one that he officially interacted with was Itsuki, the one that he kept trying to follow before he knew that he was going to be the tutor of all of them was Itsuki. And so when it comes to Itsuki, Itsuki kind of really all started this from the beginning of the show, and their relationship was always like a butting heads. They were always fighting with each other, always like having snide little comments with each other. And for a majority part of the first season, Itsuki did not like Futuro because Futuro rejected her when she went to him for help, and he was being kind of a dickhead because I can't lie, Futuro was acting like a dickhead, and he was kind of just being mean to Itsuki for no reason. But the minute he found out that he was going to be their tutor, he kind of tried like picking up the relationship again. And we can kind of see over the course of the first season, Itsuki slowly starting to get more comfortable with Futuro to the point where Itsuki actually dresses up as Miku because Futuro was staying over, and they try and play a trick on Futuro. Her, Ichika, and Nino all try to play a trick on Futuro, but little did they know that Futuro was sleeping in the same bed as Miku. So because they were all wondering if they were all thinking that Miku was out because she slept in Ichika's bed and Futuro slept in her bed. Then Miku went back into her bed later on in the night, so they don't really know that Miku was in her bed with Futuro. So when Futuro comes outside, he's like, "Oh, what's up, Miku?" And then he sees the pajamas and realizes it's Itsuki. Then they have a current. Then they go to school. Fucho realizes he needs to apologize for something that he said to Itsuki, and then he goes back and has like a whole moment right there where they're just basically apologizing throughout the whole standpoint. But Itsuki really is one of the most underrated ones from the Quintessential Quintuplets, and keep in mind there's only five sisters. All five, I say she's my second to third favorite because it's kind of like close between her and Nino. And the real reason I think that Itsuki deserves more love is because let's not forget, before Yotsuba, out of all I will still say this to this day, out of all of them, the one that has the best relationship with his sister is Itsuki. Because let's not forget, Itsuki was the first one to have met his sister. Itsuki was the first one to really spend time with the sister, and Itsuki was the first one to really know what their situation was like. To the fact that they were, like they were in debt, and he was using this job to pay back the debt, so they can finally like live good. And he was not really eating that much because they owed so much debt. So Itsuki and Fucho's relationship was always kind of a very like brother sister type of relationship. But I believe that they always definitely deeply care for each other, even though they fought. And keep in mind, there are couples in anime that fight a lot and then get together. It's literally a tsundere, but I wouldn't consider Itsuki a tsundere. I would consider her just to be like a nagging type of thing. But you can see over the course of the second season that Itsuki and Futuro's relationship is kind of growing, and Itsuki's kind of going into a background character, just like trying to do other things. Like she's trying to become like her mom. She's trying to, like help Yotsuba, like push Yotsuba to confessing to Futuro. And then in the turns of the movie, she finds out who her father is, and her father, she tries to play a trick on her father. Her father's like, "Oh, like Itsuki's here, but that's not Itsuki. We see that it's Miku." And then Itsuki's like, "I tricked you because if you loved us, you would be able to recognize us, and that's the definite truth. I can't lie to you about this." And Futuro's like, Futuro, Futuro took a while to know how all of them are, basically by their demeanor and how they act. but still, even Futuro loves each of them individually. But when it comes to Itsuki's one, Itsuki kind of went from being like one of the main ones in the first season to kind of being like in the background. And I feel like that really is undeserved because she was a big part of the first season when it came to like most of the interaction. It was her and Nino because they, like Futuro was always trying to get them to like be involved and they just didn't want to. They were always spending time with each other. Nino was always trying to get Itsuki away from Futuro when they were always studying at the house, and then Nino would be like, "Oh, maybe you should go to the library, study some." And funny enough, Itsuki is the book one. Itsuki is supposed to be the one that's in the school, like trying to become a teacher, but Miku was the smartest. Miku was the smartest out of all of them, and Itsuki is there. But Itsuki eventually got to get her goal. She eventually became a teacher. She's still a family with her sister. Now Futuro's married to Yotsuba, and Itsuki's probably happy that Yotsuba. I'm pretty sure deep down there was a part of her that really liked Futuro. Let's not forget. They all went in 5 different separate rooms. So that means at some point Itsuki does have feelings for Futuro. Itsuki does have feelings for Futuro, but we don't really get to see it because it's not showcased that much. Because, like I said, Itsuki went from being a main character in the first one to kind of be like a recurring background character. Even though she's part of one of the 5 sisters, I'll say this: her relationship dynamic with Futuro was probably shown the least out of all 5. Well, actually, second least out of all 5 in the second season because there is Yotsuba. But still, if I have to look at Itsuki Nakano objectively, I say this, and I'm going to be very objective because obviously my favorite choice is still going to be Miku. Out of all 5 sisters, if I'm looking at the realistically best chance to be with Futuro, I say Itsuki's at least third. I would say number one would probably still would be Nino. I'm gonna give Nino the edge advantage. Number two would be Yotsuba. 3 would be Itsuki, and then 4 would be Miku, and 5 would be Ichika. That is my final opinion when it comes to it. But I want to know what your guys' opinions are in the comments down below, and I will see you guys all next time with another part of this particular anime character needs more love. See you guys later. Peace.